Hello, my friends. Today we are back with the top brand fears that every high achiever has, but nobody wants to talk about. And in case you've slept since then and you've forgotten who we are, I'm Trina.
And I'm Gretchen.
And we're here today from Left Right Labs to really dial in kind of this last group of fears that we have not had the chance to talk about yet, because really we find when we're working with established thought leaders, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how big your name is, you're going to hit inflection points in your business, these places where there's a shift. Something has
Mhm.
changed in the market or in your personal life or in marketing overall, and something has to be shifted, but it can feel very fearful. And so we want to name the fears, because naming them, we all know, is the only way to actually conquer them. So if you've missed our last couple videos, go back to video 1 and 2 in the series where we break down the top 7 fears. But today we're going to go through fears 8, 9, and 10. And the other way I like to think about these is really just like brand worries. So let's break the worries down and move past them. Now, I don't know about you, Gretchen. I don't think I've ever had a client say it out loud. But if you read
Nope.
between the lines like I do.
Well, we've been a lot of what we would call boardrooms behind the
Yes.
scenes with some of these 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs, and they don't say these phrases directly. They kind of tiptoe around them,
Yeah, if
and
you
we
read
have to
between the
like,
lines,
yeah, exactly.
you know what they're saying. And that fear number 8 that we know our clients run into, whether they're going to say it or not, is really that they're embarrassed about having gaps in their business.
Yeah.
They're embarrassed about having gaps in their brand. Again, if you're one of our clients, if you're one of the people who follows us and you've been growing your business for years, people see you as the established brand that you are. They see you as that high level thought leader. They see you as someone who's really dedicated, very responsible, has a team or is on it themselves. And so it can feel very vulnerable to admit that there are gaps. So I'm going to take one for the team. We've had our agency for 20 years, but honey, we have gaps too.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like this is part of growth and shifting and changing. But this is one of those things, as Gretchen and I were just saying, that like our clients may not say it out loud, but we're definitely seeing those gaps that they have in the back end, and they're feeling that embarrassment about it. Gretchen, I'm
Yeah.
curious from you, like what kind of gaps have you seen and how common has that been for the clients that you've worked with over the years?
I think the gaps kind of vary across the board. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's literally a visual brand gap, or like things
Yeah.
just don't match up across social and website. Sometimes it's just systems gaps where they're like, yeah, we have this thing and we're not really using it to its full capacity, or we're not following through in this area. I was actually just on a webinar with an EOS facilitator, and he
Entrepreneur
did,
operating
yeah,
system.
yeah. And he did a great job of explaining how he was working with companies who have like upwards of just hundreds of thousands of employees. And even,
Mhm.
you think, well, they've got that many employees, they've got it all together, and they don't.
Yeah.
Nobody does. And he was saying, he works with teams of 10 sometimes. And, we think, okay, they're getting started and building. But he said the higher up you go, it's just different problems and higher level problems. So everybody has gaps. And it is about, when you are in that moment of doing a rebranding, figuring out what those gaps are. Those gaps oftentimes are opportunities to
Always,
pivot the
almost always.
business. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just like, okay, yep, here's where we have a hole in the business. Let's see, what can we do with this rebrand? In the process of rebranding, how can we plug the hole?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I think so many people forget about, is that a rebrand is not just about overhauling visuals. It
Right.
really is about where are the gaps in the business. And how do we
Mm-hmm.
use this opportunity where we're creating this new pathway forward of shifting our brand? How can we use that as momentum to actually fix those gaps in our business? Because this is the time when hopefully you're reevaluating, what do you stand for? You're getting your team aligned around that vision. You're really looking for, what's worked now and where are you trying to cast your vision in the next 5-10 years. So this is the absolute perfect time to spot the gaps and to actually acknowledge them and then say, oh, okay, let's prioritize them. Because I mean, that's something that we do with our clients in every rebrand that we do. When we find these gaps, because they're there, everybody has them. It might be scattered materials or holes in your strategy, or you've got messy behind the scenes structure that your audience doesn't see, but is back there.
Might even
So
have people in the wrong seats.
100%,
We've had that come out,
yeah,
and we've had that come out a few times in our rebrand strategies. Somebody saying, you know what, I think this person actually doesn't fit for the business. Or in
yeah,
some cases, it's like, hey, they're a great team member. I've got them in the wrong role. I need to shift
yeah.
them over here, and where they can really, do their best work.
Well, and this is a really strategic time to use a rebrand to actually help spotlight that and then be able
Hmm.
to prioritize what order do we handle those things in. Because again, we're always going to recommend to our clients that we find, like, what are the biggest dominoes, that one domino that if we knock this one
Yeah.
over, it's going to align all these others. So you have this great opportunity to do the same thing. And when we go through our brand strategy process with our clients, we go through a process specifically for it's to identify the goals for the company, but 9 times out of 10, identifying the goals also really identifies the gaps. And that's something you should
Hmm.
be excited about, because it
Yeah.
means you have the opportunity to go, oh, you know what? This is our opportunity to shift, to change, to tighten that up. And also just, for us to say after doing this 20 years, honey, everyone behind the scenes is a hot mess. Like, it's just, that's just
It's
how it
so
goes,
true. It's so true.
ourselves included. It's how it goes, because we all have areas that we're blind to, or that
Hmm.
we ignore because we've done it that way for so long, right?
Yeah.
So going through this process is really going to open up those gaps, and that absolutely should not be something to be embarrassed of. It's something that shows you, like, hey, this is the whole reason you're having this pivot.
Hmm.
And this is that opportunity to invite the elevation and let that happen through all areas of your
Yeah.
business. And I think that's something that should be super exciting, like, hey, I get
Yeah.
to level up. And,
Totally.
I think that also plays into some of the things that, again, our clients may not be saying out loud, but when we read between the lines, we really know what's happening. And there's also this thought of, am I playing too small? Like, am I crazy for wanting more? And that's one of those things where, when you're a recognized name in your industry or in your community and people already see you at a certain level, it can feel a little telling to have that conversation. It's like, okay, it's an identity level elephant. It's the elephant in the room that
Yeah.
nobody wants to say out loud, because you have likely achieved more than most can even dream of. There's a
Hmm.
big possibility that you have already surpassed what you saw for your vision in your life, and you're going, oh man, I have this itch and I think there's more, but who am I to even say that? And so I really want you to think about this and kind of reframe this in your mind. Wanting more isn't selfish. This is really that next layer of your service to your audience, to your family, to your legacy, to yourself, right? You see what you're capable of, and like, you
Yeah.
have that itch or that inkling that there's something more. We've all been there. And it's scary to say out loud, I want that next level thing, when you've already hit all these peaks, right?
Yeah.
How about for you, Gretchen? Where have you seen that kind of take place?
Well, at first, I want to say, if you're not in business to help people, why are you in business? Because
Yeah,
that is the purpose of business. The true purpose of business is to be able to provide a service that someone else needs. And it's not selfish to want to level up, because
yeah,
you got to think of it this way. Now, we work with a lot of health and wellness professionals. So I'm going to use that as an example. The things that you are teaching well, I'll say I'm speaking to a health professional, the things you were teaching 10 years ago in health and wellness are not anywhere remotely close
Yeah.
to what's being taught in health and wellness right now. A lot of things have changed. The science has changed, just the world has changed, things we know about the world have changed. So it's different, and your clients have leveled up and they've changed. And so your service has to change. And so in thinking of that in terms of a rebrand or a pivot, you are now bringing a better service and a
Yeah.
much needed service. You are serving them better by leveling up. If you were to stay the same, you're not providing anything different or better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And they'll recognize that, and they will start to seek out other providers who are moving up, changing, and and making a difference in the world. So it's not selfish at all. It is
Yeah.
you are actually doing the right thing by leveling up.
Well, and I think this applies regardless of the industry you're in also. I mean, we
True.
have
Yeah.
clients that are in the high level mastermind spaces, right? And they're helping clients scale their businesses and grow their practices and do all these different incredible things.
Hmm.
And they're speaking on high level stages. They're speaking from Tony Robbins stages or the TED Talk stages and all those
Yeah.
things. And so, them wanting to go further can look like, well, you've achieved it all already. But again, like Gretchen was just saying, what's inside of you, and what opportunities you have for service and to pour into others and to live up to your full potential. And so that is something that is, that's all about the elevation, right? We talk about brand
Yeah.
elevation, but at the end of the day, brand elevation isn't about elevating your brand. It's about accepting who you are, owning who you are, and really stepping into that next stage of yourself. And so I think, asking the question, am I playing too small, isn't something that we should feel is selfish. It should be the question we're all asking. Am I playing
Yeah.
too small? Like,
Oh
where
yeah.
can I step into more service, more opportunity, own more of the gifts that I've been given? That's your calling in this life. And so why not ask that? I think it's something that we should really all lean into, and leveling you up helps level everybody else up, right? So that is
Yep.
the ultimate act of service. And I think the final one, the number 10 fear that we have come across with our clients, again, that they may not be saying out loud, but is absolutely playing in their mind, is really this idea of, will I lose control?
Yep.
Am I going to lose control of the process? Am I going to lose control of creative direction or of the narrative of my brand, right? And I think this is one of those things where, when you're working with the right team, somebody who understands your greatness, who sees the bigness that's in you, that understands that question of, am I playing too small? And the answer being yes, go further.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely can. When you have a team that knows how to support that knows how to see that, acknowledge that, and put the spotlight on that, then you're not losing control of anything. You're actually just building up an army behind you that can help you make that happen faster. And that's really ultimately what your goal should be. It's something that you've got to find that group of people that aren't going to water you down. And more importantly, that are going to call you out when you are watering yourself down. Call you out in love, call you up.
That's us.
Yeah, absolutely. The opportunity to just say, like, I've said to some clients before, I don't care how famous you are, I'm going to tell you the truth,
Right.
and it's always going to be in love. But, if there's an opportunity to say, hey, guess what? You're playing it a little safe here. I think you can really push and show people all of you, or this bigger idea, that helps you. It can feel like losing control because it's something new. But if it's with people that have the process, that have something that's truly been built to support you, then it's not losing control. It's just gaining your sea legs ultimately, and in some points, it's also like finding who else can help support you at the level you need it at. And that can feel like losing control too. But again, it should be more about finding people who are more aligned. That may be your own dang team members. Like, you're going to go through this process of rebranding. You might find this absolute rock star, as Gretchen was saying earlier. You might find someone on your team who's incredible, but you feel like, man, they're just not doing this job right. When you go through a process like this, where everyone gets realigned, everyone gets to be part of casting a new vision, and they're really able to see, hey, here's the gaps and how they can be filled. Part of that is that you're going to find someone who can step into those gaps and you had no idea, because they haven't been needed at that level yet. And so now by you leveling up, you're helping other people level up. And what feels like losing control is really actually empowering your team and empowering the people around you to say, honey, trust the process, and we've got you.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. You come out on the other side. We've seen this so many times. They come in and, they feel like, they're running a tight ship and we got this and that. And I don't want to break this momentum that we have in this area or that area. And it's like, you're hanging on so tightly that you're missing the bigger picture. And they come out on the other side and they're like, oh, wow. They end up with more, the CEO usually, or the entrepreneur, they come out with more freedom and a little bit, they loosen the reins a little bit and find out they were actually, kind of choking the business in a way, but they come out on the other side and they let go of those reins a little bit and they find out their team members step up, their team members take control, and the business is now even more stable and more control in control. Things are more in control than they were before that, because, when one person is kind of hanging on to everything and ruling it, even with a team, it's one person can still be, kind of running everything, and coming out on the other side and finding out, hey, I don't have to do it this way. And that all comes from brand alignment, because then you have everybody rowing in the same direction. Part of the problem when someone is worried about losing control is the fact that they don't think the whole team is on board with their vision. They think that, okay, I've got, this person over here. Well, they're great, but they're doing it this way. And I really want to do it this way. And so I keep having to push my view onto this, or push my process over here. And you don't have to do that when your brand is in alignment. When your brand is in alignment and your vision is clear, your team knows exactly what they're supposed to do when they wake up every day. And you've got the right people in the right seats and all of that. And you come out on the other side with a much tighter ship in terms of everybody rowing in the same directions, which means you get to row faster, you get to move faster, and you get to your next level faster.
Yeah. I think that's so true. And when you're going through a process of something like this, where you're redefining yourself, you're refining your brand strategy, you're elevating your brand, and you're taking yourself to the next level, it's really this opportunity to reflect and go, whoa, like I have already built something really incredible. So this process isn't about starting over. It's taking what is that foundation that I've already built, this incredible structure I have. How do I elevate that to an even higher level? And how do I link arms with a team of people that know exactly how to get me there, that have done this for eons and seen all the things behind the scenes, and still came out the next day saying, hey, no worries, this is the next step. So it's a refining process, not just for you, but for your team. And, I'm going to recap really quickly what we've gone over in the last 3 videos of this series. We went through the top 10 brand worries holding high-level thought leaders back. So we went through the fear of, well, changing my brand costs what I've already built. I don't want to start over. My team can't see what I see. We went through all of that in the first video. In the second video, we went through, who are the naysayers? I'm already overwhelmed. Is this going to add to my plate? Does the ROI justify the investment? If I'm looking successful, that doesn't always mean I have margin, and I don't want to tell people that, right? We went through all of those in our second video. And today we just went through being embarrassed about the gaps in your business, the question that people are thinking but don't want to say out loud of, am I playing too small, or am I crazy for wanting more? And this idea of this fear of losing control. And I think at the end of the day, when we can face those fears, when we can name them and address them, the only thing that can get in our way is ourselves. So if you are willing, like if you're at this crossroad where you're like, okay, I am ready to get out of my own freaking way to go to the next level. I've accomplished a ton already, and I'm ready for that next step. I'm ready for what scaling looks like, for what that next level of elevation is. And you really want to have a conversation with people who get it and people who see it and can hold you accountable to it. Then I really want you guys to have a conversation with us. Go to leftrightlabs.com/start. Book a call with us. We'll just have a candid conversation. Are we the team that can support you? And if so, we'll tell you the ways we can. If we're not the right team, chances are we may know somebody else who's a good fit for you. But at the end of the day, I think it's so important. The reason that I got into branding is because I want people to own every ounce of who they are, to lean into that, to shine a spotlight on that, and to stop carrying the weight of pretending to be something they're not. So if you're ready to own it at that next level, give us a call, because we're here. We're here to help you. And we have the exact process to guide you through all the ways to elevate your brand. I'm Trina.
And I'm Gretchen, who's saying, don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's right. And at the end of the day, we're here to help you build the brand that you're meant to lead. Catch you next time.
Bye-bye.